Welcome back, friends. It's the Soul Material Podcast, the podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for, and we're here with another episode of that sneaker business talk, giving you clarity over popularity. So it's T Mark the Street Shark.
And your man OGEO. Welcome once again.
All right, once again, so we're just gonna keep the party going with that nostalgia. All right, and this episode is dedicated to just magazines, the magazine era. All right, if we talk about being a source of information for our culture, for hoopers, for hip hop, this is what we want to do. We want to give you clarity over popularity. But in order to do that, you just got to know where you came from, know where you're going. So hopefully you appreciate where we're at with the sneaker culture right now, where it's evolved, but it started in the heart of the magazine culture. So we're just going to stick to more basketball. We'll talk a little bit about hip hop, a little bit, some of the influence, but, it was kind of some of the same lifestyle of just acquiring that information, where to get the magazine from, because you weren't able to get it at every place, right? So you had to know who and where, the newsstand, the 7-Eleven, the CVS. You had to know which one had stayed up to date with the good stuff. So so I kick it to the OG. Let's talk about some of those all some of our nostalgic stories of the magazine era. All right,
Definitely.
magazine era.
With me, Shark, my mom picked up quickly that I was a fiend for basketball cards. And it wasn't because of just collecting and possibly cashing out. But she noticed at an early age, I started to memorize the statistics and always read the back. But she never could get me outside of school to read any novels unless it was something required for summertime or some reading or so forth. So she caught on quick, and before you knew it, there was subscriptions of particular magazines that would come in that she knew that would hold my attention, that I would read. And what she would do, she would also assign me to, and I didn't know how strategic she wasn't doing this, like write a 1-page like summary of my favorite article in the magazine. And I was enthusiastic to do it. So I'm like, yo, you got it here. She's like, don't tell me about it. Write about it. And I didn't realize that she was training me up for high school, AP English. I did not know she was even doing it, because we had a battle with me just reading consistently. But that was how I got caught into the magazine era. So peace out to my mom. Love you for doing that. And I always look forward to the Kid Sports Illustrated coming, or as we talked about before, to nostalgia now, that East Bay coming in. And I'm talking about, I would not skip a page. I knew every spec tech for every shoe that came out, because that just grabbed my attention. So she's like, oh, you don't, it's not that you don't like to read. You want to read things that are interesting. So let me do that for you. So that's how I got hooked on the magazine era. So, and like you said, Shark, it was a particular newsstand in Norfolk that had a particular magazine that she knew that I would just blow up when she came home, and I had talking about doing my chores. Everything was perfect like that week when I had that magazine. So we just a part of that era, man. And I didn't realize how influential she was in encouraging me to read, but making sure she was graceful enough to say, okay, fine, I cannot force feed you to read, The Great Gatsby, but I can get you to read these things and we can move on to that. And I gradually moved on to that, man. But again, it's a great time to be alive, because it wasn't just clickbait. It wasn't just something where it was just so free to you and so easy where you didn't appreciate it. So again, the hunt was real, as far as getting certain magazines, make sure you got them on time. And it was important, at least where I went to school, to be the first to have it sometimes. So that became an important thing. So same thing with sneakers and everything. It was a rush sometimes to know your spots. And you can tell everybody we got your spots, but you want to be that dude like, hey, Kev, let me see that magazine for 56 period. All right, but before we leave here, before we hit that bus, I need my magazine back. It was really that serious. And but yeah, I just appreciate that time, man. And I think about the articles from those days, sneaker related, basketball related, sports related, and how all that just connected to. I didn't realize I was even a part of a culture that was a subculture until I kind of got to college. I'm like, well, this is a thing, because everyone kind of looked at me like I was weird. It's me and like 3 other dudes that were kind of the same. Everyone else was on other stuff, and I'm like, yo. Once I got to VCU, I'm like, yo, it's a whole floor of a dorm of guys who are in the hooping, going to West Cary every single day, sneakers, and if we can't afford sneakers, we either going to the store to look at them or we talking about them. It was just again a good time to be alive, man. So the hump was real. Having to do the work was real, and I appreciate and definitely adore those times, things not being so easy and so easily accessible to you. Sharp.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to that art of acquisition, the first step is acquiring the information. All right, and one thing about that era, it wasn't information overload, but it was the beginning of the doors opening for more stories to be told, more spotlights on all of the pieces of the community of the footwear culture, the jobs associated with it, the designers, the process of designing, highlighting the young athletes, the up and comers, because again, we're talking about information that makes it regional, that your styles and trends are regional because they just stay there. And then you travel to another city, and it's like, oh, that's the way you wear this, or you wear, well, we wear slouch socks here in DC, or we do this, we wear our foam posits. Y'all don't know what foam posits are? You don't know about the New Balances? But then you go somewhere else and you're like, you don't know about Jabros, you don't know about these felines down here. Wear your Chuck Taylors, that type of stuff. Was the magazine era was the centerpiece to that. We talked about in another episode, we talked about Slam Magazine. Another episode, we talked about East Bay Magazine, which was the mail order catalog. But, when we're talking about magazines, especially for basketball, again, you only had certain access to nationally televised games. All right,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking limited version of cable, ladies and gentlemen. The first version of it, if the internet just started, cable wasn't that far ahead of the game. Okay, so you didn't have that many channels. That's why the NBA was on NBC. All right, so nationally televised games. So just being able to get information about the culture, about what was coming out, what was new, and then just affirming what you may have saw on Sports Center. What was that? Or you might have a pause record on your VCR, just to see what's going on. But then you're like, and then you get that affirmation. Oh, that's the team Jordan won. Or Kevin Garnett. That's what. Oh, it was a white and navy blue color. Like I never saw that in the stores. And then you're like, I don't think I'm going to see it in the stores. So that type of validation of the culture, and then like you're saying, when you start sharing the magazines and then that influence of not only just the magazine, the validation of it. Yeah, you're a cool kid if you got it, and you're just a fortunate if you had subscriptions going on. You know what I mean? Because not everyone's could get them every month, right? So then it's a commodity, right? And then you share here or there, or you stand a little too, in the back of the bookstore or the Barnes and Nobles. You might want to go to a Barnes and Nobles if you want to check out the magazines and stay for a while, right? But the 7-Elevens might shoo you away, that type of stuff. But so just knowing which spots to get which magazines, and then sometimes the magazines weren't in the store, so you had to like be on the list. You had to know what's going on. So I'll start actually with one of those because you had to really know what's going on to get one of these. All right. And go back in like our first and second season when we were talking about old promos where you get the VHS cassette and things like that. But this is around that time. All right. I wish I had more to dig up for you. I know it's buried over at the archives over at my parents' house. But one thing I wanted to show everyone. All right. Look at this. We got an edition of Jordan Brand Magazine. Jordan Brand Magazine, not anything else, but the Jordan Brand Magazine. This is winter 2004 Jordan Brand. All right. If you know about Mellow with the Braids, you know what was happening right at this time. All right. So again, we just gonna open it up, and then you actually get to just see, just learn about the staff, the editors, who they are, like you just like seeing a name with a face. All right. And then of course, this is all Jordan. So here's the message from the man himself, to start off. And then now, you just keep going through. Of course, this whole thing's gonna be about Jordan, but it's just one big ad, but it's a whole magazine. But it keeps you connected to what's going on. And then now, this was when Jordan Brand had, you know, really had the brand and the team Jordan. Then you had the apparel. So now you're like, oh, this is the Jordan downfield snorkel jacket and the Jordan, with the beanie. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're like, ooh, and then just look at how grainy it is. And you got, Carmelo Anthony, because that's who's featured in this particular magazine. So again, this is winter 2004. All right, we're talking 20 years ago. Wow.
And Shark, you remember? I'm about to bring you up to speed real quick. About to quiz you on something. You remember? It may not have been the first, but I remember it was one of the first apparels of Jordan brand that you, myself, and another brother really had to go on a hunt for, that came out of a magazine that we saw. Remember the cement windbreaker?
Yes. Yeah, that was around the time we had the cement windbreaker. Like some of them first internet packages, right? The Carolina 12s that
There you
came
go.
with the hoodie and the pinwheel hat,
There
and
you
you
go.
couldn't get it, you couldn't break it up. That's what one of the first online packs. The shark was there. The shark had the pack. Okay? Like, come on. Like, yeah. Magazine. Like you had that was the first version of the the those type of websites too. You know what I'm saying? And again, you got so much going on here from designers, articles on designers, articles on just people, all aspects of the culture. All right. Look, we even got old John Thompson III. You know what I'm saying? We got JT3 out here. You know what I'm saying? Just again, all facets that we're highlighting here. All right, and then look like what is this? This is over, an article of MJ in China over here. You know what I mean? Just talking about a visit over to China. So again, just information that you wouldn't normally get anywhere else, and you didn't. Again, this is way more than you would get in the internet. And then it's interactive, it's tangible. This was when things were tangible. All right, yeah, I know it was a lot to print it out and send it in the mail. But this is one that this was like group activities when you're just hanging out with your friends, and then you break out the magazine. Like we didn't always just watch TV. You know what I'm saying? We would sit here and actually talk. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, let me share this. Oh, did you see this? Oh, make sure you don't mess up page whatever. You know what I mean? Oh man, let me see how the new Carmelo signature shoe is made. All right, the 1.5s. Let me learn about all of the aspects of the upper, the sole, the midsole, everything. Look at that. That's what we're talking about. And we want to know who Dwayne Edwards is, the designer. All right.
Man,
Shout out to Dwayne. All right. This is why we like the magazine era, because all of this stuff meant something, because you had to learn about the consumer and then keep producing stuff like this. You had to be in the know just to be able to get this information, to be on the list to get this, right? And then look at that. In the back, you got the little store, they got their own little catalog right there. Then you can you can call 1-866 Jumpman, or you can visit www.j23store.com. What a time to be alive. All right.
so you've
Wow.
seen an infusion
One
of,
of the first times a magazine called to action to the internet to go buy what they see here. Whoa. What's going on? You need to, yeah, look at that. Look at that lineup. You're going to call 1-866 Jumpman to get you this. All right. Let me get a pair of number 18s, which is the Jordan 13. Oh, that's just for boys. So that's the boys' prices for $100. I was about to say that's only $100. You got the bomber jacket for $85. The reversible stadium jacket for $100. You know, the pullover hoodie for $50. Like, wow, look at the inflation over here. Okay, now let's get to the men's prices over here. All right, I'm just gonna show you what we got over here. Some mellows, some teams. You see some wheat 13s, some bread 13s. We got some low top twos over here. So we got Mellow 1.5s for 120. You got the Jordan 13s for 150. All
150.
right. Jordan 1, yeah, Bread Jordan 13 for 150s. The Jordan 2s, the Columbia ones, $100. $100. All right. Come on, that's the Jordan downtown. That's that team shoe that we see up there. Like, what a time. Magazine era. Make sure you. Oh, and while you're in, just in case you didn't know, you got to break down for your ordering information, shipping information. Look at the disclaimers and how old that is over here. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you want to pay the price, you got it. You got it. So, yeah, what a time. Jordan Brand Magazine.
Indeed.
Talk to emoji.
Nah,
What
I
else we
just saw at that point in time, um, the wheels were spinning on a lot of successful publications. So Shark just kind of displayed where that Jordan Brand magazine, was able to infuse a little bit of Sports Illustrated, a little bit of Slam magazine, a little bit of East Bay, and then of course with the evolution of direct consumer, that's probably one of the first entities of them utilizing the internet to the consumer. So you're seeing where they took bits and pieces of very popular publications to create the Jordan brand. So it wasn't anything evolutionary that they were doing, but they definitely took the greatness of other publications that were in the culture. If you look at the photography that Martin even showed, man, I seen reminiscence of Slam magazine. So you're seeing the influence of Slam, East Bay, Sports Illustrated. So you're getting the hood, but you're also getting the intellect. You're also getting the insight, and you're also getting informative information and all of that in one magazine. So usually magazines will focus on one thing or the other, have their top three things. You see Jordan Brand really blended in multiple themes at once to come up with that magazine, what I thought was cool at that time.
Yeah, so here's another one, Soul Collector, all right? Soul Collector magazine was very popular, and again, you got some Bruce here, when it comes to the origin of Soul Collector magazine, we talked about some of their partnerships with Foot Locker as well. So we have go back to some of those old episodes that we have, just talk about that in-store experience of those magazines and those in-store type of displays that had those magazines inside of the case with a chain attached to it, so you couldn't walk out with it. But again, that's what we're talking about. That's the time that we're talking about. But again, early 2000s, this is one of those special edition Soul Collector magazines. They see Carmelo 1.5s here, but again, it had the half and half magazine, like where half of it was themed one way, and then you flip it, boom, 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 and then you had another topic. They usually work like this, where it's two different sports. Where here we got Michael Vick, all right, Michael Vick over here. In this particular one with the what are these? These are the twos or the threes? Yeah, these are twos.
Too.
Or the threes. Yeah. So, because again, this was around the time where you see him on the Rides magazine, because we went from Source to XXL, and then there was the car magazines. Again, you'll see the same people on all of these styles, and then go to our Slam magazine episode, and you'll see some of the influence of the same type of font and writing style and formatting of the articles that started to translate a lot of with these magazines during this era, because that meant we knew they were talking to us. All right. And you had to be for the culture. So, yeah, let's just dive into this for a little bit. Again, to be more, go to our Instagram and our YouTube page to see I've shown some of these promos for the 1.5 and the 5.5 as well, where I have extra promos from back in the day as well. But this just gives you the extra highlight, what's going on inside the magazine. All right. And then just the footwear ads, you know what I'm saying? Like this is a 310 Motors footwear ad looking like a R&B album cover or something, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you just never know what was going to pop up in here. But again, you got the contributors, pictures of the contributors over here. You know who they are, just a little blurb. So you're always learning about what's going on. All right. Remember, again, first level internet. Who remembers InStyleShoes.com? All right. Love them or hate them. They had some information and they also regurgitated information. We know it. If you know about it, OG, on the Nike Talk forum, you know what's legit and what's not. In style shoes. Yeah, just going through the nostalgia. Look at this. Um, what is this? This is an article focused on collectors from 909. So Southern California collectors. You're a collector, you got made it to the articles, you know what I'm saying? Look, my dad is a hunter, so sometimes he would send in the pictures and then he would be the trophy kill and then he'd be in the magazines and we kept the magazines. So, back in the day, I never made it in there. Young Shark actually made it into the Washington Bullets magazine for kids back in the day. So I do have where I was featured. One of my quotes was featured in an article back then. So it was just a big deal. So here we go again. More information about how the shoes are designed. All right. The design elements. You got some of the blueprint over there. Some more design and influences of the Jordan 1. Jordan 5. So again, we just like learning, all right, about what's going on. Wait, look at this ad. What is this? You got the Magic Johnson Showtime Magic brand shoes.
There you go.
Like, come on. This ain't the 90s. You know what I'm saying? This is the early 2000s, folks. Like, that's how much it was still. Everyone was trying to get a little piece of theirs. You know what I mean? Look, the latest Nike artist collaboration, a whole article on collaborating. All right. Again, this is what we're talking about. This is what the origins of some of the the sneaker culture is like. This is a back to school. We're just talking about sneakers that were going to come out for back to school. Some Converse. You got your Bounce K1X. You know what I'm saying? Look at this New Balance shoe. New Balance is back in basketball, but hey, folks, they've come a long way. All right.
Yep.
We're not
Definitely.
talking James Worthy, but they've come a long way. All right. They've come a long way. So, again, LeBron twos. We love LeBron twos is a favorite over here. Um, Here, the culture. Here we go again. A sneaker event in Boston. So they covered a sneaker event, looking like sneaker pimps over here.
Definitely.
Look at that. So again, we're now it's part of the culture where people, documentation that people are gathering for sneakers and hanging out together and showing off their collections.
Yeah,
Wow.
yay.
Wow. Look at this. These infamous pictures of, Michael Vick. This photo shoot is pretty cool for the Vicks. Yeah. So this, so much going on here. You got the T Mac 4. Look at that technology that had the little canister in the back that popped out, and you had, you know, lock them down that way. There's
Yep.
so much going on. We got S dots over here, S dot Carters, and then yeah, some more Magic shoes, Magic 23. Yeah, just look at all this Echo, more 310 motors. Like, there's just look at how many options you had, and it was okay. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that everyone was just like, you got props for wearing stuff like this, but it was just more like, hey, this stuff existed. It's okay. Look at these. Look at that. Mellow, Syracuse. Those are vicious. I wish they came out with those. I need those. So yeah, we could do this all day. But again, we're talking about, more interviews. Looking at Team Jordan. Just talk about Team Jordan. Just more interviews. Just talking about what's going on with the master plan behind Team Jordan and what who's doing what.
Definitely.
So again, this is why we highlight the magazine era, just because of all the information that you would get, and then you just walk away with little, you get a little poster here, a little something there. You just never know, because again, this poster folds out as well, and the first level of team catalog where you see the logos of the teams on there: Cincinnati, Georgetown, North Carolina A&T. Got some Mike Bibby action. So now you get the documented PEs.
There you
All
go.
right. This is why this is why it's amazing when some of the stuff that's coming out nowadays, you don't, we wanted it because you couldn't have it. Like, and then I'll just end on these because we talked about them. The Mellow
Indeed. Yep.
12s.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
You just didn't have access to everything like that. Right. So again, here's another one. I'm not going to go through it, but, Carmelo on one side, and then you had Terrell Owens on the other side. Slam magazine. There's so much. Yeah, I can just again look at that. Look at the Mellow PE. To this day, we want to see this information. Y'all don't want to see this right now? Like, come on.
Understood.
So when these came back out, y'all didn't want them. Y'all didn't want these. You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't want these just because they were like the gamma, But like again, this is why we like what we like. And then at the end of the day, we just want to give back to the culture, just like and be the outlet. Again, this is when they got into grades too. Just remember, Soul, you had the grades on here. This was one of the first sites that had the grades on there as well. Like the first website version of Soul Collector had the grade of the shoe on there. Like, come on. So yeah, just get into that source of information, right? So if you were that person, and we talk about the lunch table conversations, or just that communal passing around the East Bay, if you were the center, you were the one that was always distributing things, like you were the influencer, you were the resource. You just didn't know it because you were so entrenched in it and you loved it so much, and then people saw it in you, and then you had access to it. So congratulations. All right. You're one of us. But now we got older. We look at things a little differently, but we just wanted to just keep this in perspective and talk about the magazine era. So final words from the OG.
No, man, like I said, again, a great time to be alive and glad that we have something in print. Like you, I have a vault in my parents' house too. And I can't wait to go back now when I go back for the holidays. Just go in there and peek to see what I saved. Because in my mind, I remember some things, but then it's always something I'm like, where did this come from? So I'm looking forward to having that time. So again, we're part of that era. A lot of people don't really, they're like, whatever, I got it on my phone and I can read it on my phone. I'm like, you don't understand, man. Just having the physical piece in your hand just meant something, and have an opportunity to go back to those days. Again, that's our era. Great time to be alive. And I'm looking forward to getting my parents' attic to see some of the magazines that I had, my favorites that I have, still in mint condition, of course. Just
Yeah.
open those up to just see what's popping, definitely.
All right. All right. Well, definitely that was an episode of Clarity Over Popularity, Sneaker Business Talk from the Soul Material Podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for. So till next time, friends, it's T Mark the Street Shark.
And the OGO. Until next time, peace to you.
Sneaker Business Talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.